on the distant world of Aurelia 9, dragons were real. They were not creatures of magic or legend but living weapons. Massive, intelligent beasts designed for war and controlled by the alien nobles who ruled the planet. To them, dragons were symbols of power and pride. To the humans who served beneath them, they were reminders of how small and powerless they had become. Among those humans was Liam Carter, a quiet young stable boy. Every day he worked in the dragon pens, cleaning the floors, hauling food and repairing cages. His hands were always dirty, his clothes torn and covered in hay. He never complained, never argued, and never drew attention to himself. On Aurelia 9, being human meant keeping your head down and surviving the day. But Liam was different in quiet ways. When he worked, he didn't see monsters, he saw life. The dragons were terrifying, yes, but they were also beautiful. Their wings shimmered with patterns of light. Their eyes, glowing in deep colors, seemed to hold emotion. Liam often wondered if they could feel pain, sadness, or fear like humans did. No one else dared to think that way. To the nobles, dragons were tools. To the other humans, they were just dangerous beasts. One cold evening, while the rest of the workers were gone, Liam stayed behind to finish cleaning the lower pens. The stables were silent except for the sound of rain tapping the metal roof. That's when he noticed something, soft whimpers coming from a dark corner. When he moved closer, he saw a small hatchling curled on the floor, its wing bent at an odd angle. The young dragon trembled, its scales dull and cracked, its breathing rough. Without thinking, Liam knelt beside it. He spoke in a low, gentle voice, the same way he used to calm frightened horses back on the farms where he grew up. "Hey, it's okay," he whispered, slowly reaching out. "I'm not gonna hurt you." The dragon flinched but didn't attack. It looked at him, eyes glowing faint gold through the shadows. Liam placed a shaky hand on its snout, expecting to be burned alive in the next second. Instead, the dragon exhaled softly, a warm gust brushing his face. The trembling stopped. The creature shifted closer, resting its head on his knee like a wounded pet seeking comfort. For a moment, everything was still. The stables smelled of smoke and rain, the only sound the slow, steady breathing of the hatchling. Liam's heart pounded in disbelief. He trusted him. Then the spell broke. A pair of guards stormed in, shouting for him to step away. When they saw the dragon lying calmly against his leg, their faces twisted with fear. "Move," one of them barked. "No human can touch a dragon and live." But Liam was alive. The dragon made a low rumble, a warning sound, and the guards froze. That night, whispers spread through the stables. A human had touched a dragon and survived. Some said it was luck. Others said it was a sign. But deep down, in that quiet, trembling moment, Liam Carter knew the truth. Something ancient had awakened, and it had started with him. By the next morning, the entire palace was buzzing with one unbelievable rumor. A human stable boy had touched a dragon and lived. Some said he tamed it. Others said the creature simply pitied him. The alien nobles laughed at the story, calling it a worker's fantasy. But by noon, the laughter began to fade. When Liam Carter entered the stables that day, something strange happened. The dragons, who usually hissed and growled at humans, suddenly went quiet. One by one, they turned their heads toward him. Then, as if commanded by an invisible force, every dragon lowered its head in respect. The workers froze. The nobles who had come to mock him stood speechless. Even the largest of the beasts, with wings that could darken the sky, bowed as Liam walked past. Whispers spread faster than fire. Lord Varen, the alien commander who oversaw all dragon operations, was furious. He believed it was a trick, some illusion or hidden technology. He decided to expose the boy publicly and end the nonsense once and for all. That afternoon, he summoned the guards and ordered Liam to be brought to the arena. A massive crowd gathered, aliens in bright armor filling the stands. At the center of the pit stood Iron Fang, a feral dragon chained by heavy steel. It was known for its savagery, having burned dozens of handlers alive. Its scales were dark red, its eyes glowing with rage. The chain strained as it pulled against them, roaring loud enough to shake the walls. Lord Varen stepped forward and sneered. "If the human truly controls dragons, let him prove it," he said. "Release Iron Fang." The crowd gasped as the chains dropped. The dragon roared and lunged forward, flames bursting from its throat. Everyone expected Liam to run, to scream, to die in seconds. But he didn't move. He stood still, eyes wide but calm, his heart pounding like a drum. Slowly he took a single step forward. Then another. He began to speak softly, his voice barely audible over the dragon's growls. "Easy, you're not alone. It's okay. You're hurt, aren't you?" The dragon hesitated. Smoke curled from its nostrils as it tilted its head, confused by the boy's calmness. Liam reached out, hand trembling but steady. "You don't have to fight," he whispered. The enormous beast let out one final snort of fire, and then to everyone's shock lowered its head. The arena fell silent. The nobles stared in disbelief as Iron Fong, the killer dragon, knelt before a human boy. Lord Varen shouted for his scientists to run tests. They took Liam's blood, scanned his body, checked for implants or psychic enhancers. The results came back clear. Nothing. He was just human, ordinary, weak by every measure. And yet, when Liam walked past the dragon pens that evening, every creature bowed its head again. Even those locked in deep sleep stirred and hummed softly as if recognizing him. The nobles didn't understand it. The guards feared it. But the dragons, they had made their choice. Liam Carter wasn't just a stable boy anymore. He had awakened something the universe had long forgotten. Fear spread quickly through the alien courts of Aurelia 9. The nobles could not sleep, their minds filled with one terrifying question. How could a mere human control dragons, the strongest creatures in their empire? Whispers echoed through their silver halls. Was he a weapon? A mutant? Or something worse? Something ancient? In secret, the High Council ordered their scholars to dig into the forbidden archives, records buried since before their conquest of Earth. Dusty data crystals were pulled from vaults, and old human languages were decoded. What they discovered left them shaken. Dragons had not been created by the alien nobles at all. They were the work of ancient humans, long before the fall of their civilization. Those humans had not designed dragons as war machines but as living companions, creatures meant to share a deep emotional bond with their human partners. It wasn't control or dominance that connected them. It was empathy, the ability to understand and feel another being's emotions. And that connection, thought to be lost forever, was alive again inside Liam Carter. His blood carried the same resonance the ancient humans once possessed. He was not a sorcerer, not a soldier, not a chosen one. He was simply human in the truest sense, something the universe had nearly forgotten. The dragons weren't obeying him because of power. They obeyed because they recognized him. To the alien nobles, this truth was dangerous beyond measure. If other humans learned what he was, if they realized dragons were theirs by birthright, the entire empire could collapse. The nobles decided to end the threat before the truth spread. That night, under the glow of 2 moons, soldiers gathered outside the royal stables. Their armor gleamed in the pale light, rifles humming with energy. The order was simple: kill the boy, burn the records, and silence anyone who spoke his name. Inside the stables, Liam sat quietly beside the same young dragon he had saved weeks ago. Its golden eyes blinked slowly as it rested its head near him. He didn't know death was coming for him. He only felt peace. Then the ground trembled. At first it was faint, like distant thunder. But within moments the air began to shake. Crates rattled, dust fell from the beams, and the sound of wings filled the night. The soldiers stopped in their tracks, staring upward. One dragon rose from the stables. Then another. Then a dozen. Within minutes, hundreds of dragons filled the sky, their scales glowing in shades of gold, blue, and crimson. The air itself seemed alive with their power. They circled above the palace, roaring in unison, a sound that carried across mountains and seas. The soldiers dropped their weapons, frozen in fear. From the courtyard, Lord Varen watched, pale and trembling. The message was clear. The dragons were not obeying the nobles anymore. They had chosen their protector, and it was the boy from the stables. Liam ran through the smoky night with a small group of humans at his side. Behind them, the great cities of the alien nobles burned in chaos. He didn't look back. All he could think about was keeping his people safe. The air was thick with dust as they crossed the wastelands, their boots sinking into the ash-covered ground. Above them, dragons followed, dozens at first, then hundreds, circling like living guardians, their wings reflecting the red glow of the twin suns. For the first time in centuries, humans dared to hope. The stories of their ancestors, long silenced, began to come alive again in whispers and campfires. Some called Liam a savior, others a leader, but he refused those titles. "I'm just one of you," he told them, smiling softly. "We rise together, or not at all." Their moment of peace didn't last long. The alien fleets were coming. Vast ships filled the sky, blocking out the stars. Their engines screamed like thunder, and beams of light rained down, burning everything in their path. The humans huddled close, terrified. They had no weapons strong enough to fight back. Then the dragons roared. From the horizon, a wave of fire and lightning rose into the air. Dragons dove at the ships, ripping through metal hulls with claws that glowed like molten steel. Explosions lit the sky as entire fleets fell from the clouds. The ground trembled beneath the power of their fury. For every ship that fired, 10 dragons struck back. The humans watched in awe. For the first time in generations they saw their oppressors retreat. Cheers and cries of victory filled the wasteland. People hugged one another, tears streaming down their faces. After lifetimes of fear they finally felt free. But then amid the chaos, Liam stood still. His heart ached at the sight, the sky burning, the dragons roaring, the ships falling from the clouds. He had never wanted this to be a war of vengeance. Slowly he stepped forward and raised his hand toward the heavens. "Enough," he said quietly. The single word carried farther than sound. It carried through the bond he shared with the dragons. Instantly they stopped mid-flight, hovering in silence. The fires in the sky dimmed. The thunder faded. Even the alien soldiers, watching from their ships, froze in disbelief. Liam looked up at the dragons, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "We fight to protect, not to destroy. No more killing. Not today." The dragons bowed their heads. The humans fell silent, realizing what they were witnessing, not just victory but mercy. Across Aurelia 9, those who saw it would never forget the image. A young human standing in the wasteland, commanding dragons not with fear but with compassion. That moment changed everything. The stable boy who once cleaned stalls had now stopped a war, not with power but with kindness. And in that choice, Liam Carter became more than a leader. He became a symbol of what humanity could be when guided by heart instead of hate. Months passed and the sounds of battle faded into memory. The skies that once burned with fire now shone clear and peaceful. Across Aurelia 9, the smoke of war had lifted, and the air smelled of rain and new beginnings. The alien cities that once towered with pride now stood quiet, their banners lowered, their soldiers disarmed. The world had changed, because of one human boy who never sought power, only peace. When the alien leaders finally arrived at the human settlement, they came without guards, walking on foot beneath a white flag. The crowd fell silent as they approached Liam. He stood among the people, his clothes still plain, his hands rough and scarred from years of stable work. There was no crown on his head, no armor on his chest, just the same quiet strength that had always been there. The eldest of the alien lords stepped forward, bowing deeply. "We surrender," he said, his voice trembling. "Our dragons will no longer fight. They answer only to you now." Behind them, the dragons themselves stood like mountains of living flame and stone. Their eyes glowed softly, not in anger but in peace. They watched Liam with the same trust that had begun in a small stable months ago. The aliens presented him with a crown, a symbol of rule forged from silver and scales. But Liam only smiled and shook his head. "I don't need a throne," he said quietly. "I was just a stable boy. That's all I ever needed to be." The crowd murmured, some confused, others deeply moved. One of the older humans whispered, "He freed us, and still chooses to be one of us." Liam turned to the people, his gaze steady. "We don't need kings," he said. "We need kindness. We need courage. We need to remember who we are." His words carried through the valley, soft yet powerful, reaching every ear, human and alien alike. Then the wind changed. A low hum filled the air. The dragons, sensing his calm, began to rise into the sky. One by one they unfurled their wings, filling the heavens with color, gold, crimson, silver and blue. The sun caught their scales, making them shimmer like stars. The sight was so breathtaking that even the aliens bowed their heads. The humans stood together, not as servants anymore but as equals. Children pointed at the sky, laughing in wonder. Some wept openly, overwhelmed by the beauty of it all. It was not the victory of a conqueror, it was the beginning of a new world. And so, the name Liam Carter spread across the stars. Songs were sung, stories told, not of a warrior or king, but of a boy who rose from mud and hay to command the hearts of dragons. He reminded the galaxy that greatness doesn't come from bloodlines or power, it comes from compassion, from courage, and from believing in something greater than fear. On that day, as the dragons soared above Aurelia 9, the heavens themselves bowed to the heart of a stable boy.